Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the fact that makes your brain go. And today is facts of the top question kids are Googling about adults in Chicagoland. And the analytics have been fleshed out here, and I have 5 of the top, and we'll get to the top 1. Kenzie, you said again, what was your answer on this?
I said, are adults happy? Because they're wondering if they'll be happy as, that age encroaches on them.
In case, what did you say?
Are we poor?
Are we poor? First time texter checked in, Michelle from Woodstock, thank you, said she thinks they're asking, what is divorce?
Yeesh.
Whoa.
Tough Google.
You may have heard that, in a conversation in the other room. Hear the word divorce. It's got to be pretty scary.
That's not good.
I remember one of my buddies got divorced, or his parents got divorced when we were in high
Good
school.
story, Brian. I remember one of my friends got divorced.
This is going to be hilarious. Just wait.
No, a lot of my friends have gotten divorced. But when we were, you're 15, 14, you don't really understand divorce. And my buddy came out very seriously to us as we're shotgunning beers in the woods. I did that at 14.
I know. You're very cool.
Well, no, it was probably sad. But he looks at us and goes like, well, guys, I'm about to become a statistic. At 14 years old, we're all
Were you
buzzed.
scared he was going to murder you in the woods?
Kinda. And I was like, what's going on? He was like, I never used the word statistic at 14, but he goes, my parents getting divorced, man.
I love that. That is it's an odd thing to say.
Yeah. Sadly, both of you are wrong, but I'm sure those ones are on the list somewhere. But we're
top 15.
Top 15. We're going to do the top 5. Top 5 questions that kids Google about adults in Chicagoland. Number 5, why are adults always late to trends? Well, you see, trends are for the youth, and eventually it filters up to adults. So you don't see a 64-year-old dude doing TikTok dance videos.
That's not true.
That's actually not true.
They're on there now.
But some people have work and they can't. That's the difference.
Well, I guess I'm saying that they didn't do it first. So they were late to the dance trend.
That's right.
And you see a new one now, it's like, whoa, 4 years too late. 4 years too late. Number 4 is, and Kenzie, you asked, are adults happy, right? That's what you said. So this is close. It says, why are adults always so happy? So meaning that they think that adults are happy.
Why? Whose parents? That must be like the emo surge.
It could be. I mean, I guess.
Like the emo kids were like, why are my parents smiling at me?
Well, I think they think that a lot of parents fake it around their kids. They fake being happy. Some parents aren't just real.
That's super true.
Yeah. So I guess
there's nothing like trying to get your children in the car for a family fun day. The fights that ensue prior to that as you sit in silence driving to the day after wrestling and throwing them in there.
My parents never faked being happy. I mean, my dad was swinging from the front seat with that one arm on the steering wheel and the one in the back trying to get one of us, trying to hit one of 4 of us.
How long is that arm? My God.
Thank God.
My dad used to get us. He'd get his arm behind, and he'd squeeze our kneecap really hard, like the pressure points of it when he was mad. And you'd just be in the back like, because he'd get his hand on your thigh. And you're like, no.
Wasn't that George the Animal Steel's move? Somebody had that move on the kneecap grab.
God, he was just trying to pop your kneecap off. It's like, relax, I won't talk anymore. Get off me.
Just tell me not to talk and I'll stop talking. Let go of my kneecap.
I hated that. You knew it was coming if he had already snapped at you and you didn't stop. And then when the hand came back in, you're like, I'm about to die.
Here's a question before we get to the top 3 of the top question kids are Googling adults. Do dads still do that? Can they still have one arm on the steering wheel and swing to the back seat to try to hit their kid, not other kids? Maybe their friends.
Nobody was safe at our house.
But has that been moved on in the evolution of parenting?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean, Kenzie, I don't know. You tell me, because I feel like you're the pants wearer in that family. You're the one that would throw hands if somebody had to. What are you doing to your 11-year-old?
Kenzie can't reach the headrest though. She's trying to get back.
I forgot. Poor reach.
And to be honest, I am absolutely the relaxed parent out of the two.
Oh.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you.
Roman has like OCD though, so like. I'm like, whatever, have a snack in the car. I want a snack in my car too. And Roman's like, no, if there's a crumb, everyone's grounded. It's like, what the hell? I do not operate like that.
Now,
Chris and I spend a lot of time looking at each other like,
And he is tall, so he could have the reach to make a swing and hit, one of the kids in the back seat.
He's more of a steering wheel puncher. It's like, whoa.
Poor steering wheel.
Everyone else just having a snack. Relax.
All right, top 3 of top questions kids are Googling about adults in Chicagoland. Number 3 is, why are adults so stupid? And now we're getting to the nitty-gritty here. Why are they stupid? And I think you always think you know more. There's a certain age, I don't know what that age is, but when you think, God, Dad, come on, please. So dumb. You don't get it. What I realized, the longer I waited, my dad, even though sometimes I had to wait it out like 15 years, my dad was right about everything. He told me in 2011 when I was home for Thanksgiving on my phone at the Thanksgiving dinner table, and think about 2011 when Twitter was exploding, and that was, everything was kind of still pretty happy on social media.
It was new at the very least.
He said to me, you and that phone, it's going to ruin the world what you're doing on that phone. I go, Dad, just please, I'm just trying to make a post about The Walking Dead.
I'm just looking at porn. Just relax.
I've got to.
How could that be a problem ever?
I've got to explain here and talk to my 17 followers about they killed Shane off too early in The Walking Dead. And
then you start arguing with a Russian bot.
Well, there were too many bots in 2011.
They were getting there.
They were getting there.
See, that's what you thought.
Yeah. My dad was right. Social media kind of ruined the world.
You were in love with that girl from Russia. It wasn't her, Brian. He's like, there weren't any bots.
So, do you come over from St. Petersburg often to Chicago? Slide in the DMs on Twitter.
Direct flight.
Yep. Number 2 now, the top questions kids are Googling about adults in Chicagoland. This is weird. Why are adults so obsessed with Disney?
Oh, that's a good question.
I do have a lot of friends that live for it, and they're adults.
Yeah.
My kid friends don't, hit me up. But a lot of it, do you have any in your circle, Kenzie, of adults that love Disney and go to trips for adult trips?
Well, I like Disney a lot. I like bringing my kids to Disney things and when films come out and musicals. But I was so excited to go as an adult because I really didn't get to go as a kid.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see it. It's always some stuck-up a-hole who's I got to go 400 times as a kid who mocks somebody who finally gets to go once as an adult. It's just kind of in my opinion, you're just rubbing privilege. Oh, you're still excited about Disney. It's I never got to go. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not obsessed with it. I'm not oh, what's the new eardrop? I just think it's fun when you're there.
Yeah, I don't know if this question means more about actually going to the parks or just watching all the movies. I'm not sure.
I think normally it's all encompassing.
I enjoy the movies.
Yeah.
I think they're fun. I like a good musical with my kids.
By the way, real quick, 708 checked in. I'll leave them anonymous because of what is said in this text, but you were asking if Dad still swing in the car.
Yeah.
Heck, I crack my kid at least twice a car ride on the leg when they're acting up.
So let's report that.
Brian is actually an undercover cop. This has been one giant ruse.
Hello, fellow kids. Also, thank you for leaving that person anonymous.
Yes.
But hey, I'm sure the kids are going to be fine.
I'm sure it's fine. Nothing to worry about.
And number 1 of the top question kids are Googling about adults in Chicagoland. Why are adults so mean? Yeah. I could see that, I guess. That's
so dads must still be able to reach.
Yeah, dads can still reach.
Question answered.
That might be that guy's kid who sent that one in.
Yeah. He's Googling it a lot.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. And coming to the Vic Theater on Friday, June 6th is our guy, Jeremy Piven, doing stand-up. And welcoming him back to the show. Jeremy, first, it's just so amazing to have you back as Chicago royalty of acting and comedy, of what you and your family have done over the many, many years, providing a billion laughs, a billion minutes of entertainment. So I just want to say thank you just to get started for all that.
Wow, that's exactly what I wanted to hear right now. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Whatever you've done in acting and comedy and stand-up and all of this, from all the movies you've done where you're the main focus of the movie or the show, whichever, and going down, I'm going to get a little more in the nitty-gritty of movies that I'm so passionate about that maybe people don't always mention to you. Like, you stole the movie Singles with about a 2-minute scene as Doug, the supermarket guy who's stoked about Steve DJing. Is that you looking at the role in the script and going, I know what I can do with this. I can almost steal this movie for somebody like Brian. Or is it a director saying, we need Jeremy Piven for this role?
Well, you flatter me because the reality is before Entourage, I did 40 movies that were exactly like the supermarket checkout guy, which is probably the name of the character, because the reality is no one gave me a script. No one had me on any list. Cameron Crowe was panicking and reached out and said, "Hey, man, can you come in and improvise for us on a lunch break? We need some comedy to stick in here." Look, man, it's an honor. What a gift to be able to create. Someone trusts you. You know, I grew up at the Piven Theater in Evanston. My first job was at Second City, you know, touring around the country with a guy named Chris Farley a million years ago. And because the city of Chicago supports the arts, they show up. They show up for 99-seat houses, little black theaters. Black Lives Matter. That's different. That's different than Black Lives.
It is different.
You know, and by the way, there's so much to unpack comedically right now, and that's why it's so fun to do stand-up. I dropped the gloves. It's going to be truly authentic in what I find funny, and we're living in times where we all need to laugh. So the Vic Theater is one of my favorite theaters, and I cannot wait to be there. And I'll be there, you know, very soon, like June 6th. And Cameron Crowe and other people, you know, when I did the gay Versace salesman in Rush Hour, I had no line. So, but the thing is, as you guys know, when you go to see Second City, that's what we do. We improvise. We do sketch comedy. It's our thing. And so when someone says, "Hey, can you improvise?" you go, "Oh, my God, thank you." And so you get $270 for the day, and you get to live the dream. Chris Tucker made $20 million. So did Jackie Chan. I'm very bitter. And we're gonna unpack all this at the Vic Theater.
You know, what's funny is that you're like, oh, well, obviously, after Entourage, you got to snag some of those more leading. But I recognize you the first time I ever saw you was in Serendipity, which was out before Entourage. So when you came on the screen, I'm like, oh my God, it's Dean.
Yeah. I mean, that's an example of, like, you know, I probably did 9 movies or something like that with Cusack. Mm-hmm. And John Cusack and I, we, at 8 years old, climbed up on stage at the Piven Theater with my parents, and, you know, we were butchering Chekhov. And we were these two children, you know, that would trade off. He would play one night, I would play another. So we grew up on the stage, so that by the time he and I were doing these movies together, and even Grosse Pointe Blank together, where, you know, 10 years where that's all improvised.
I got to stop you right there, because you don't know how often I just say that to people at parties, like, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years.
And by the way, that's me just trying to stretch out my role. You know, I'm just gonna say the same line 3 or 4 different ways, and hopefully just stay on camera. No, I mean that's basically Johnny and I bouncing it back and forth, and a couple guys that have known each other for, you know, forever, and having fun and making it happen. And then by the time Ari Gold came around, that was a tiny role. That was one scene in a pilot with no promise of anything else. I was last on the call sheet. The role was a bit of a fringe player. And so it's our job to get in there and flesh these characters out and hopefully, you know, make them interesting enough to keep them around. And, you know, and we got lucky.
We say chop suey once a day at our house because of you. So you're an icon in this household forever.
You know, it's interesting because when people come and they see my stand-up, right now they can go and look, you know, at my Instagram and see all the posts that I do with my stand-up. But if they haven't done their research, they don't know me as a stand-up. So they're taking a leap of faith. And after they see me, they say to me, "We didn't know you were this funny," which means a lot to me because this is all stuff that's coming from me and how I see the world, and we get to share a laugh together. So all roads lead to stand-up, you know, because you get to perform, but you're now the lead singer-songwriter. You're not a cover band. artists anymore.
We're talking with Jeremy Piven, the great Chicagoan, and Friday, June 6th at the Vic. And it's funny when you mention Ari Gold, and I'm not saying this was exaggeration, the greatest TV show of all time. Just ask Kenzie how many times I bring up lines from Ari Gold on Entourage. And then we have a guy on the show here, 26 years old, who wanted to bring up to you about your first TV role, which was the Larry Sanders Show.
Yes. Jeremy, I had a question about Larry Sanders, if that was okay, because I don't feel like that show has necessarily been picked up by my generation in the same way that a Friends or an Office has shows that were before our time. But that show really helped me shape my comedic sensibilities. And I'm curious, because you were so young when you did that show, how intimidating was it to share the screen with not only Gary Shandling, but also at times Rip Torn?
I'm so glad that you're finding that, man. Yeah, it's one of those things where you never know what's going to catch people's attention. Entourage now is catching the attention of the much younger generation, even younger than you, because of COVID. They stayed at home. So now we have this whole new generation checking out Entourage. And with the Larry Sanders Show, who knows what the variable is that will make it accessible to people. But yeah, the people that know, the New York Times said it was, the first or second best show of the 90s. And even Jerry Seinfeld, when I run into him, he's got nothing but love for Shandling in that show. And it's not that I was intimidated by them. They were so good. First of all, my first point of concentration was not losing it in the middle of scenes because they were so funny. Just holding it together was difficult because they were such geniuses. But I was kind of ready for the fight because I was in my 20s, but I had been on stage for 20 years. So I was at least ready to contribute.
And you bring up Seinfeld, where you played George for a second there in the pilot episode of that, where you were playing George. And again, you stole that episode without question.
Well, I mean, thank you. I don't think so, but that's another example where I was a regular on a TV show. My first regular series gig, the Larry Sanders Show, and I'm in the parking lot, and Mark Hirschfeld, who was the casting director, stops me and he says, "Hey, Jeremy, I got an audition for you." And I was like, "Yeah, audition? I'm already on a series. I can't do anything else, right?" So he goes, would you audition to play George Costanza on Seinfeld? Now, I didn't have a TV because I'm a stage actor from Chicago. I still think I'm broke. I don't have a TV in my house. I do not have a TV. I've never seen Seinfeld. So he goes, "Yeah, it's the show within the show. Jason Alexander plays George, but you're going to play a version of him on TV." I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to, man." So, I'm just a hungry Chicago actor that can't even do the show. So I knew Jason, from the parking lot. We would say hello to each other, and, he's a great guy. And I'd never seen the show. So I just went in there and did my impersonation because I knew I could understand his accent. Obviously, he's from New York, and I could read in the sides that he's this nebbishy character. So I just kind of threw it out there, and they're like, "Oh, my God, you must be a huge fan of the show." And I've never seen it. I was like, "Yes, I am."
Jeremy Piven, Friday, June 6th at the Vic with stand-up. And I feel like I'm doing the Chris Farley show now. As you know, Chris Farley, you knew him so well. But I'm just going through the movies that meant things to me, like old school. Most of our audience, cheese. And even for me, a movie, maybe, I don't know how often somebody would bring up Judgment Night to you, a Chicago movie where you were with Cuba Gooding Jr., young in the career, Emilio Estevez, and Stephen Dorff. The premise of that movie of going to a Bulls game in a bus and then you get sidetracked off the road and then Chicago is desolate and Dennis Leary is the villain in the hood. Everything about it is incredible.
Yeah, I think it was a documentary. Yeah, it was heavy, man. It was surreal. It was my first big movie. I remember, on one of the leads, I made $50,000, and I was like, I literally thought I was the richest guy who has ever lived. I was like, no one's ever made more money than me. I was like, that isn't. Literally. That was just one of those shows where, like, certain parts of Chicago and that area in particular, there was a sniper attack, and we're up on the roof in that area. We were shooting in the south side of Chicago. That's another, I believed, underappreciated movie. Great soundtrack.
Incredible soundtrack.
I remember at one point, we don't want to get too deep into the weeds. It's all I can do not to tell you guys too much. There's a part of me that just wants to tell you everything, and I'm like, Do I say everything? I don't know.
We like that, Jeremy.
We're super into that.
I was so lucky to be a part of the community in Evanston and Chicago. And people wonder, like, the Chicago actors, they do have a lot of respect out there, and I really believe the variable is the community because they show up for us. So we're performing in front of audiences, where other towns may not have that from an early age. So we get our reps in because the community cares about the arts. That's pretty heavy. So, coming home, this one on my calendar means more to me than anything the whole year.
And that'll be Friday, June 6th at the Vic. And we care about what you and your family did for all the laughs and also starting so many careers. Thank you, Jeremy Piven, for taking time to talk to us. And we will see you at the Vic.
Yeah, but that being said, after everything that we said, believe me, I'm going to be viciously mediocre on stage. Listen, I can promise you this, and this is going to sound very grandiose. Everything that I've done will lead to this special that I'm going to do and what you guys are going to see me do. And we might even shoot the special at the Vic because it's time to let the hands go, as they say in boxing, and just get raw and honest, and let's get into it. I cannot wait. I'll see you guys on the 6th.
Let's go. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. So about 5 minutes left for the Fest for Minnesota Yacht Club. Text sweater if you haven't done it. SWEATER to 312-591-8300. Last 5 minutes for that key word. There'll be a different one at 11, 2, and 5. So that'll be for Minnesota Yacht Club and for Riot Fest. In the meantime, music and entertainment news. Well, it happened. The second Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer dropped yesterday, which you can watch at Q101's Facebook page right now. And a detailed look at what to expect from GTA 6's history, which game's still a ways off. Still a ways off on the game. We'll get to that in a second. But Jason and Lucia have always known the deck was stacked against them. Rockstar said in a official description. But when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America. I feel like my music's wrong here. I don't know.
Do you want to do it again, a more dramatic read?
Well, I'll just continue.
This is the plot of GTA 6.
Why are you so upset? You're like, I don't know.
No.
This is the plot of GTA 6. Get the right music and read it like you mean it. Say it with your chest.
Movie trailer voice?
It's GTA 6.
I know.
Why do you have such, small penis energy right now?
It is weird. It's very unlike you.
I know. You're bragging about nothing.
Is everything okay?
I'm not sure if I can do the movie trailer voice this late in the show.
What do you mean?
Voice wears out as we go on.
Give it a shot, big guy.
Let's try it here. La 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 la. Let me warm up a little bit.
You know what? Never mind.
Let me warm up.
All right.
Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them. But when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America.
Oh, my God. Hit the rap horns. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I always deliver, Okay, back to it. In the middle of a criminal conspiracy stretching across the state of Leonida. Forced to rely on each other more than ever if they want to make it out.
He's got the
alive.
giggles. He's got the giggles right now.
I don't know what we're talking about now. I'm super. What is this, a movie?
This is GTA 6. This is GTA, Grand Theft Auto.
Leonida. Isn't that the Gladiator? What are we talking about?
You're thinking of Leonidas. Of 300 in Leonidas. Which is a great movie and is on Case's list, by the way, down the road.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
The movie 300. So in GTA 6, Vice City gets a stunning makeover. The trailer gives us a glimpse of this reimagined version of Miami filled with the detailed environments, vibrant nightlife, and a diverse atmosphere. Kenzie, you would love Miami and GTA Vice City.
Well, I love Miami. I've been there.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I need to do it on this.
The city seems more alive than ever with an expanded map offering new areas to explore. Players can expect bustling streets, towering skyscrapers, and scenic beaches, all of which play a crucial role in the game's open world experience. And the trailer is sick. Like I said, if you go to Q101's Facebook page, you can watch it there many times over for your delight. Now, last week, Rockstar delayed GTA 6 from fall of this year to May 26th, 2026.
That's right.
Boo. And we talked about in December when the first trailer dropped, that they teased the trailer. And then we had to wait for that. Then that trailer came out. Now this trailer 2 came out.
And also, GTA 5 came out, for those that maybe haven't kept up with it, in 2013. It's not like they really stacked these releases. We've been waiting 12 years. Now we're going to have to wait 13 for this.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's so hard. Like, it's the same concept. You're going to be driving around in a car and, like, punching hookers in the face. Like, how are they struggling with the creation of this?
Well,
Is it virtual reality? Do you get to get inside the game and punch the hookers? Like, what's happening?
do you want to be in the game with someone that does that? Is that what you're asking?
I'm saying, is that why it's so hard? Is it like the new updated version of Jumanji where your body disintegrates and goes into the video game, or what's happening?
I think it's a little more involved. But, literally 100,000 people work on this game, whether it's animators, digital tech people, programmers. And then there's movie creators like storyline directors. What this will do, to put it in perspective, is this will make more probably in one day than any movie that comes out that whole year, easily combined, all the revenue take. I think it was like $50 billion.
It's basically become the single largest entertainment property there is when you don't factor in sports. I mean, the success of Grand Theft Auto 5, which is still a game that they're adding updates to constantly, people are still playing, it's the biggest thing there is, and it's worth the wait. And right when I thought, they delayed the release of the game last week, and I go, you know what, maybe I don't care about GTA 6. Then they put out this trailer, and they got me again.
So I went back to GTA 5, the second best-selling video game of all time with 210 million copies shipped. It's the most financially successful entertainment product of all time in the top couple anyway.
Wow.
$8.5 billion in revenue.
Not bad.
Now, listen, movies do great. Like Thunderbolts was incredible last week and did like $76 million.
Sinners has done quite well.
Yeah, movies are back. I mean, there's a lot of good ones coming out. Final Destination's Bloodline's on the way. But when you do, in the video game world of that, $8.5 billion just dwarfs everything else. It's insane. And it's good, too.
Now, I have a PS5. I like playing video games. Kenzie, not her thing. Brian, you famously are in recovery, a former Halo addict.
So, yes, and
yeah.
my name is Brian, and I used to spend 8 hours a day playing Halo, and it was really a problem.
When did you jump off? Was it the Xbox or the Xbox 360?
So it was the 360 when my power supply broke.
Did you have the red ring?
Yeah.
Did you have the red ring of death?
The red ring of death came.
Wow.
And even though there were a lot of solutions there, if you went on the internet,
yes. Google.
I decided I needed a break. Now I'm dabbling now back in the gaming to see if I can do it without full addiction kicking in.
Because that's what I was going to ask you, is when you read that trailer and the movie voice that you did, do you get itchy? Do you feel like you have to go out? You said you're an all-or-nothing kind of guy. Do you feel like you have to go out right now to Target and buy an Xbox?
Well, I don't know about you. I'm leaving. So whatever you guys want to do with the rest of the show, I don't care.
Wonderwall. Yeah.
I'm not kidding. My addiction. And by the way, you can find my voice in Saints Row version 1. I am the guy of the guy on the radio when you're driving around the car, and also the guy driving around when you're driving around. I'm the guy on the radio in the car. On Project Gotham Racing 2, when you're driving around Chicago, I'm on the radio there.
But you
Are
never.
those popular video games? It's an honest question. I'm just curious.
So Saints Row was designed to compete against Grand Theft Auto. The first version that I'm in wasn't rated very well, but it's gone on to be. There was multiple versions afterward that were really incredible. Project Gotham Racing was a big game. It was a big game racing through the city and doing things too. Not to the level of Grand Theft Auto. They're not in that world.
Gotham. So was it like a Batman thing?
Project Gotham Racing is the first one was in New York, and they used Gotham for that, which is supposed to, even though Chicago really is Gotham City. But then it went on. They did several versions, and then I don't remember how many versions they had actually.
But it wasn't like Batman based?
No, just driving around and, like you said, to your point, looking for hookers to do things to. That's a quote from
All
Kenzie.
these games, they're just driving around looking for hookers. Why are there so many versions?
It's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you want to jump in? It's not too late.
Guys, how about you just drive around in real life and get hookers?
This is safer.
I'm awfully
Okay.
nervous. I don't know what to say to a hooker.
Also,
You can say whatever you want.
what
They're
would-
on the clock.
Give us an example of what you say to a hooker. Just give us on top of your
I
head.
don't know. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, if I was going to approach a hooker, I guess I don't know. I don't know what I would say. Do you ease into it, or you just go like, for $20, what can you do to me?
You're gonna not get a great hooker for 20.
Is 20 cheap?
You try
Is
20.
20 cheap.
You try 20 and then report back tomorrow at this
You
time.
think they're gonna make minimum wage doing something to you? Are you kidding me?
Okay, tell your living girlfriend Did you need to go get a $20 hooker for the show?
It's a tax write-off if I do it for work. It's fine.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
All right, head to headlines. You decide the content of the show. 312-591-8300 by texting in headline 1 or headline 2. We've given you 2 of the funniest headlines of the week. Let's go over them again before we get the results in. Headline 1 was, man sets his own house on fire twice in one night to watch firefighters work.
Okay.
And headline number 2, man known to throw canned food around neighborhood arrested after corn goes through window.
What a weird thing to be known for.
And I think that's what people thought on headline 2, that he's already known for that, and he did it. And then they arrested him. And I feel like they know the whole story. Now, you're missing the possibility of knowing the backstory and how he got known to throw canned food around the neighborhood. But
Wait, right, is it like a family tradition?
I do have to note, because I've read the headline, I've seen the physical text of it. 773 was asking if it was corn with a C or if he was throwing the band corn with a K through a window. It is corn with a C. It is the vegetable that the Pilgrims and Indians broke bread over.
well, noted. Also, I don't know if that guy could throw the band corn through a window, but I don't know how big he is.
Well, Jonathan Davis, very sturdy guy.
Now, it was from Florida, that story, by the way. I don't know. They're from Bakersfield. I don't think they still live in Bakersfield.
I hope not.
But if it happened there, maybe. It's a stretch still. We're not going to talk about that story ever again. It's getting removed from Google. Push those buttons. It's erased forever because we are going to talk about the one you chose. Man sets his own house on fire twice in one night to watch firefighters work. Let's get into it. A 26-year-old man from the United Kingdom has been convicted and after admitting to setting fire to his own house twice in the same night just so he can watch firefighters in action.
Oh, you don't admit it. That's how you get in trouble.
And certainly, I just want to note this, that first off, firefighters, some of the bravest folk out there running into danger when we all run away. And when a house is on fire or something's on fire, I stop to watch firefighters. I think it's fascinating to see these guys that are not afraid of fire.
Do you think you could do it?
Hell no.
Okay.
Are you is that a real question, Case?
I know what Brian can and can't do. I was curious to know if Brian knows what he can and can't do.
I wash the dishes every night after Megan does a delicious dinner for us.
Okay.
And our hot water is really hot.
The thing about water is it really gets up there.
But I'm talking about burn level hot. I don't know why, but our hot water, we probably should turn the hot water heater, temperature down a
I feel
little
like
bit.
you could control that, actually.
Probably.
Well, that's going to take effort, Case. Do you think Brian's going to do it?
This is what I wanted to know.
If I'm afraid if I touch the water heater, it'll break. And I can't have that. So I burned my hand on that last night even. And I was like, ow! And I imagine firefighters going into a building they don't say ow. I never hear these guys going, ow, 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 ow. I never hear that.
That's so true. I've never heard a firefighter say ow.
Heroes.
I just think that, when Brian was giving the explanation as why he couldn't be a firefighter and he's talking about washing dishes, I thought he was going to say because even that made him tired. So there's no way you could run through a building and, carry somebody because even the equipment weighs, 50 pounds. Think about how tired Brian gets from talking on the radio.
It's true. I've seen it.
A little bit from column A, a little bit from column B.
Mm-hmm. And column C, not a firefighter.
But, heroes. Acknowledging them right here. So the man was identified as James Brown, which is just funny to me for some reason. The guy that set his house on fire twice to watch firefighters work. He was very captivated by flames. Some people call that a pyromaniac. I used to light things on fire as a kid often. Did you, Kenzie? Ever light anything on fire as a kid?
No, I didn't light a bunch of stuff on fire when I was a kid.
Case?
I know people think I'm mentally unstable, and so it would lead to me saying, oh, yes, I lit tons of stuff on fire. I'm more afraid of fire than anything other than death, though, because fire destroys. Fire's unforgiving. There's no coming back from fire. So, no, I did not, because I was afraid I would light myself on fire.
Correct. You should stay away
I
from
wasn't
fire.
scared of fire. I just didn't feel like setting my home and other things on fire.
You just go in the woods, the trees, ants with a magnifying glass, things
Did
like
you
that.
do that?
Yeah.
You lit an ant on fire?
You're evil. You're sick.
Listen, that ant shouldn't have been crawling on my leg. And
You lit it on fire on your leg?
Well, no, I flicked him off, and I took a magnifying glass and burned him.
Yeah, and you lived in a stand your ground state, so that was okay. The ant encroached your territory.
Damn right. I'm an American, and I can take this ant out with a magnifying glass. Little did I know at 7 years old, I was a patriot. All right, back to the story. So the unusual series of events, it says in the story as it continues, that his house was the first to receive emergency services after reported sparks from an energy meter burning linen in a cabinet. Firefighters arrived, extinguished it like heroes, the little fire, even turned off the electricity supply for safety to get checked the next day on why that fire started. 90 minutes later, Brown reported another fire that involved bedding. This time, his excuse fell flat because the electricity had been turned off. And this action from him looked suspicious, prompting firefighters to begin their investigation. He was burning all the linen in his house.
I imagine you were going to say he took a lighter and some Axe body spray onto his house.
Does Axe spray light up, you think? I've never tried that.
Usually an aerosol can, like of Axe or hairspray, that you can use it because it sprays out and you can make a blowtorch.
Yeah.
I don't advise this.
No.
You can create a blowtorch. It is if somebody breaks into your house and you don't have a weapon, grab your hairspray and a lighter.
Yeah. Police concluded then afterward that the fire had been deliberately started and the defendant was arrested and seemed quite happy about his arrest. He seemed fascinated about the presence of the fire and the police at his property.
He thought, added bonus, I also get to get arrested.
Yeah.
This guy just likes shiny lights. He likes fire trucks and cop cars.
Yeah.
It's a lighting fetish, not a fire fetish.
Here's the kicker to close out the story. It wasn't long before the truth emerged. Court records later revealed he had called the fire department 80 times in the past year.
I love this man.
Well, they could be putting out
They
real
didn't
fires.
recognize the house when they pulled up.
That's true. Maybe this one's on the firefighters.
I agree. We should blame the firefighters, Brian. Good point.
It's James Brown again.
You didn't recognize that?
Well, I guess the 911 call, it should start for them, but the same address over and over and over again of the fire going there to the poor guy's house. So,
I mean, if it's suggested in your Google Maps when you get your car, then you have, maybe you should think about it.
also, looking for a home myself, I want to know who those builders are. He lit his house on fire 80 times and it's still there. It's pretty impressive.
Do you think he lit his house
Stanley built it.
Do you think he lit his house on fire 80 times or he just called them 80 times? There's a chance he was just calling to see if they could hang out at some point.
No, because there were 2 times there were real fires.
2 times out of the 80. There were 78 times he was going, hey, so what are you guys doing?
2 times that night, real fire. We don't know the rest of them.
That's fair.
If I had time, tomorrow's show at this time, we'll go through the other 78 911 calls of this guy to see which ones were fires.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.